lot better things.
Let's just spray a mosquito pesticide over the city.
Right?
Hi, I hate to interrupt. I told you we would only get started on this. We will have time to continue, so don't worry. Just bookmark any pages that you found that have good resources. But I don't want to take away from the time of our next guest. So we have Julie Lopatcher. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay, and Tammy Kim, who are here to discuss EPASS. Right? Okay, wonderful.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing so far?
Good.
Good. I want to do something I do with all the groups that Tammy and I work with. I see these beautiful phones. Some are cracked, some are not. Let's make sure we put them out of sight. Because these wonderful devices serve as nothing but a distraction. And anytime I see a student texting on one, I say, please put that away. And you know what their response always is? Oh no, it's just my mom. Well, your mom probably wants you to really focus on what you're doing. So we're going to ask that for the next hour, you just focus on the work that Tammy and I are going to ask you to do. All right? So probably for the 100th time, welcome to campus. Welcome to Emory. How are the residence halls treating you? Nice. Anybody like, this is sweet, much better than living at home? Okay, how's the food? Yeah, that's what we hear. You know, Chipotle is really good, and it's right over there.
There's only so many Chipotles in a day. I can't really eat that many.
I haven't found that. So, welcome. My name is Julie Lopatcher, and I'm the Assistant Director for EPASS Peer Programs in the Office for Undergraduate Education. And Tammy Kim is...
Sure. I'm a learning specialist, and I work with students on time management and different study skills, and I also coordinate mentorship programs for international students.
And so essentially, we're going to spend some time with you today. We're going to walk you through some activities and also share with you some resources that the Office for Undergraduate Education has to offer. And so you folks can start planning already everything that you want to do during your time here at Emory. How many of you are going to be with us for 2 years? Anyone? So Oxford continuities, right? I mean, you can stay longer if you like, but you'll like 2 years, and the rest 4 years are planning. Any 3+2? Any folks going to do a program with Georgia Tech? Dual degree? No?
Or thinking about it.
Thinking about it. That's
There
not
you
bad.
go.
Yeah.
Thinking counts right now.
Perfect, exactly. That's all about today. And we encourage you as we go throughout this next hour, think about all the ways that you can make this personal to you. All right, here at Emory, we strive to provide you with a great host of opportunities, but it's up to you to decide which ones fit for you. All right, so some of what I'm going to say, you're going to think, Julie, you're absolutely crazy. And that's true, I am a little crazy. But some of it will be really relevant to you, and some of it won't be, and that's okay. But the next thing I challenge you to be aware of is keep a lot of these resources in mind. You folks are already in a leadership position because you're coming to campus early. All right? In about a month and a half, you're going to have a bunch of new folks here that this is their very first time. And they're going to look to you as somebody, wow, that student has it all together already. How? So I encourage you to keep in mind some of these resources because you might be very good at helping somebody else adjust and acclimate to our campus. All right? Who's excited? Excited this time. And if nothing else, think about the snacks you can have when we're done. All right. So let's get started. Let's see what we put together here. This is us, yeah? This is what we're going to talk about. Time management, some goal setting, metacognition, academic resources, and academic calendar shouldn't even be up there because this is last year's academic calendar, so let's just ignore that. All right, Tammy is going to do time management. Let me hand these out for you. I'll be your banner.
Absolutely. So, a lot of students come and meet with me, and unfortunately, a lot of students who are in trouble meet with me. Usually ones that are on academic probation, and they're usually referred by, faculty or deans, or sometimes they come themselves or the parents. And when I say, what do you think went wrong last semester? The number one answer is, I don't think I had good time management, or I think I prioritized my extracurriculars, or I didn't spend enough time studying, et cetera, et cetera. And so time management, this is a life skill. You will need it now and forever. And a lot of students don't learn this skill here, and they remember their presentation, and after they graduate and they have to wake up for their first day of work, they're like, I know what they're talking about now. So let's try to learn this skill early on. As you can see, the piece of paper that Julie just passed out, this is just kind of a basic format for something that I like to use with students. And a lot of people look at it the first time and say, wow, this is really childish, this seems really elementary, it's too concrete. But to get started, it's very, very, very helpful, because you will notice that the first week of classes, you'll have over 200 pages to read by the next day, or you have 3 tests in a week. It just gets kind of crazy on top of your extracurriculars, on top of labs, since a lot of you are interested in the sciences. And so this will kind of help you visually see what your schedule needs to look like, and in order to accomplish everything, you'll have to plan. So it takes a lot of time in the front end. So I recommend on maybe Friday night, take a look at all your syllabi and a week ahead, figure out what tests, quizzes, projects, papers, even things that aren't necessarily academic. Let's say you need to turn in a form. Just list out everything that's due, and then start plugging it into your schedule. And so the first step would be figure out which things are fixed in your schedule. So that would include class times, if you work, labs, any weekly appointments that you have, anything that you don't really have control over. Put those in your schedule first, and then that way you'll be able to see the chunks of time available to devote to studying. So every 1 hour you are in lecture, how much time do you need to be spending on homework and
2 or 3 hours.
yeah, so
That's not, we didn't know.
They learned it though, and they remembered it, so good.
A+. So as you can tell, if you're in 15 hours or more of class time, just you're in the classroom and you're in, double or triple that of working, that doesn't leave a lot of time for extracurriculars. But I promise that if you manage your time well, you will have time. So after you put in your fixed items, make sure you account for things like how long does it take to get to the class or to the activity or the club. Meal times, getting ready, just things that you don't really think of. A lot of times people make this whole nice plan, and then they'll be like, I'm really behind on schedule because I forgot to account for travel or eating. So, so make sure you include those things because they're very important. I also emphasize including breaks, very intentional breaks, because a lot of students will say, I feel like I'm spending enough time studying. I just spent 6 hours at the library. And I said, well, 6 hours straight? Did you take any breaks? And they said, no. And I said, well, you probably were really distracted every, hour or so because your mind is telling you, your brain is telling you, I'm overloaded, I need a break. So I usually recommend scheduling your study sessions for like an hour and a half, 2 hours max. Take a very intentional 15, 20-minute break, and then come back to that activity or switch it up and do something else. In terms of the sciences, I recommend studying at least 5 days before the exam. Do as many practice problems as possible. You'll notice that especially in chemistry, it is a very, very difficult class here. Most universities use organic chemistry as their kind of leader class. We start at Chemistry 141. A lot of people struggle in that class. It's very intense. It's nothing like high school, even if you got a 5 on the AP exam. So you're going to need to do a lot of practice exams. Some professors actually that I've spoken to here recommend, if you can't do anything else, if you don't have time to read the lecture, obviously come to class, just do practice problems and do as many as you can. So just every night you might want to schedule in a few practice problems just so that you're used to doing a few every night. What else? I usually recommend grouping similar activities together because, like for example, let's say in a week you have 2 essays, you have to study for 2 tests, you have a couple of projects. Your brain, it'll help your brain work more efficiently when you're working on a group of things that are similar. So like, let's say you have papers. You work on your papers kind of all in one day so that your brain's not jumping from writing papers to doing chemistry problems to doing something else. And so try to link and group your activities together based on what the actual activity is. Any other tips you can think of? Do you guys have any questions at the moment?
What have you folks found are your biggest barriers to sticking to your schedules?
Procrastination.
Procrastination. Okay, procrastination. What do you do when you're putting off doing something?
You know, I have this amazing skill at sitting and looking at something, just looking at something for like hours. Then I'm like,
I'm thinking, gosh, I should do that. I could do that.
yeah, and then I realize an hour and a half later, oh my God, I've just spent an hour and a half looking out the window. You know, just.
Well, and I think that's actually a really good point. Because what Kenny's suggesting is that we create this schedule, and it's a wonderful idea. But then after that, spend some time, if you can't adhere to that schedule, really tracking down where you spend your time. Oh wow, I spent an hour and a half today looking out the window. Or any of you on Facebook.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Do you ever just go to look at one thing and 3 hours later you're like, oh my goodness.
Or
Yeah.
YouTube? That happens to me every day.
So this is really important if we can learn this about ourselves. So we've got procrastination. You had your hand up.
Yes, this may come as a surprise, but I'm a very social person.
Okay.
It's a constant struggle trying to balance, interactions with peers
Okay.
and even, professors with actual
Work.
Yeah.
You need to learn to say no.
I was like,
ASAP, because you will be pulled in a bajillion different directions. There will be probably 20 clubs you want to join and tons of activities, even like lectures you want to attend outside of class. You're going to have to schedule in office hours, peer mentor, EPASS sessions. I mean, there's just going to be so much thrown at you that I usually recommend commit to maybe 1, maybe 2 clubs that you want to get involved in throughout the 4 years, and think more long-term rather than joining 10 clubs and kind of just being a member or just dabbling here and there. Commit to 1, maybe 2, and try to get to leadership positions by your senior year. Really commit and just focus on a few because I think at the end of the day, when you're applying to schools or putting it on a resume for work, employers, they don't want to see a whole, it's not like high school where you list like every single thing you ever did and they're like, wow, impressive. They're going to ask you in the interview, so what was your contribution to this club? How were you involved in this? And if you're just like, I just attended once, or it's just not going to be impressive. But if you can say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, I was the president by my senior year, that's going to be a lot more impressive. So that's usually something that I recommend.
On average, how much time do you spend in the classroom?
In the classroom? So classes are either, if they're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they are 50 minutes long. If they are Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're 75 minutes long.
And the minimum number of credit hours you can carry is 12, and the maximum is 21 without getting permission from the dean to overload. I know we have students that show up and say, no, I can take these 25 hours. And we look and say, no, they're actually at the same time. They actually physically cannot do it. But we're going to talk in a little bit about the importance of choice that you folks have. What are some other barriers we have to maintaining a schedule? We've heard social, we've heard that great procrastination, motivation, what else?
Sleep deprivation.
Deprivation.
But
There we
if
go.
you have great time management, you will be able to sleep at a reasonable hour, I promise. I know it seems unlikely, and you guys think from high school, I'm really great at all-nighters, I'm really great at pushing things through at the last minute, working till 6 a.m. before it's due. Here, you will notice it is not sustainable. You can only pull so many all-nighters
In a row.
in a row. And on top of that, the material is so much more difficult that you won't be able to cover it all in just one evening.
What if you work better at night though?
You know what? That's a great point, and
Yeah.
I'm all about working when you work best. I like to sometimes challenge students when they feel like they work best at 3 a.m. Not really sure about that, but if you promise that that's when you work best, then schedule your plan. You can make this however you want it. Schedule it for the hours that you work best, and maybe sign up for classes that are later in the day. And that's the beauty of college, is that you get to make your own schedule. So if you know you're not a morning person, don't sign up for 8 a.m. classes, because attendance, although some professors don't make it part of their grade, we think it's mandatory.
Well, and you want to be there to hear the information from the faculty member firsthand. They can give you that textbook and you can read all the PowerPoints, but there's so much more substance to it when it comes from the faculty.
And on top of that, why wouldn't you go to class how much, dollar-wise, how much is 1 credit?
1,000 something.
It's about $1,100 for 1 credit, okay? Times 15 or however many you take. You sleeping in or doing something else, that's a lot of money you're just
That's an
throwing
expensive
away.
nap.
That's a really good nap. And then on top of that, these professors we have here are, world class. So why not go and learn from them versus just reading it off of PowerPoint? Definitely take advantage of the resources here. Yes.
Kind of like what Maureen said, I like to just spend time doing nothing, kind of just like sitting there and just thinking. Like, I know you shouldn't like do that for hours, like maybe like an hour or two. Like, should I even bother putting that into my schedule, or should I try to just work as much as I can?
To add on to my.
So you
This actually brings up a great point that we're going to speak to in a little bit, so hold that thought. But that's an excellent question.
But in terms of even motivation and procrastination, you'll notice that it takes a lot of work in the front end to make a schedule that's this concrete. But I promise you, after you figure out how much time you need to dedicate to each assignment, it kind of works as a checklist every day. And it'll motivate you when you're like, wow, I have a lot to do today. And it'll hopefully push you through. And you can just go through and check every time you finish whatever's in that box. And it's a great feeling, for me at least, to check something off. And so I think it works as a motivator to be able to see how much you have to do, see how much time you have to do it, and just plugging time, just keep going.
And again, like a lot of these tools, you'll find a way that works best for you. I had a work study student last year. She was the single most organized person I have ever met in my life. Her planner was written out every day with every activity. It was color-coded. She checked things off perfectly. It was amazing. She's like, Julie, I'm going to organize your life. I was like, this is fabulous. By 8:15, I was disorganized again. But for me, having my day lined out, what time I get to work, what time I go home, and the responsibilities within that day, that's enough for me. So for me, this really strict hour to hour, I can't do it outside of meetings, and if I have a task list, those tasks serve as my motivator. And my motivation that I build into it, okay, I can't go home until I finish these three things. I cannot go to Chipotle at 11 o'clock when I like, because there's no line right when they open, unless this work is done. All right, so figure out what motivates you. Figure out the way that works best for you.
And if this is too concrete for you and you're more of a list person and you want to work day by day, then like she mentioned, list out the tasks that you need to complete that day and do like an ABC. So list out maybe 4 or 5 things, put an A next to things that are mandatory, you must finish that day because it's due tomorrow maybe. Put a B next to the activities or tasks that you want to at least get started, but don't necessarily need to complete by that day. And then put a C next to just kind of a little bit long-term, maybe within the week, just to kind of have it in the back of your mind to start thinking about. And then just work really hard that day just to tackle those A's and make sure they're done at the very least.
Any other questions about time management? We'll have time at the end, 10 minutes. good stuff.
And I do one-on-one consultation appointments with students where I can actually help make an actual concrete schedule or work on other study skills. And so we'll share at the end how you can make an assessment.
Okay, flip over your beautiful time management sheet if I've given you the right handout. SMART goals. Have we done SMART goals yet as a group? Oh, this is fabulous. What is the last day that you are in this program? The 25th. So under timeline, or timely on the first, on goal number 1, right, July 25th. All right, we're going to talk a little bit later about our metacognitive skills. And one of those essential components is having really directed, really intentional learning goals. So, what I would like you to do is to develop a goal, an academic-based goal for the remainder of your time here. That's why under timely, it says July 25th. We want to make sure that this goal, we will use July 25th as our measuring date. So we will say, okay, we will check on July 25th, have we met this or not? So who can give me an example of something specific that we could measure? Yes?
Finishing Alex.
Finishing Alex. I don't know him, but okay. Finish Alex. All right. So is that specific?
Yeah.
Do we agree? Is that specific?
Yeah.
Finishing Alex. All right. So that might be a goal. What is the measurable component? How can we measure if we finish Alex?
Seeing that we've covered all 304 topics.
We've covered all 304 topics. It says that it's complete. Absolutely. What does A stand for? Is it attainable that we finish Alex by the 25th?
Yeah.
We're trying to work at
Yeah,
that.
okay, well, it depends how many
Well,
topics.
but we're checking by the 25th. It doesn't mean that you can't finish early. Okay? So is it attainable?
Yeah. No, I totally.
Okay.
I have 280.
Sorry, is it relevant to your time here? Yes. Okay, and then time specific. So that was one example of a great goal that we could have. So I challenge you, the first one, I want one academic goal. It doesn't have to be finishing Alex, but that was an excellent example. Think of an academic goal that is meaningful, relevant, attainable, specific to you, that you can attain, or at least strive to attain, by July 25th. Write as much detail as you like. All right, goal number 2. Goal number 2 can be absolutely any type of goal you like. It can be a personal goal. It can be a goal about applying for a scholarship, any type of goal, but it must follow the same criteria. It must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be attainable, relevant, and time specific. It does not have to be by July 25th. You can pick this. All right, it can be any type of goal you like. And Jason. experience setting academic goals for yourself? Good. This is really, really good. How many of you keep those goals at the forefront of your mind or keep them as an integral part of your day-to-day life? Many of you. Okay, I want you to keep this goal sheet where you can see it every day. All right? What we see more often than not is students will set a goal and they'll say, oh, that's a great goal, and they'll put it in their bag. When do we see that goal again? Never. At the end of the semester when they're
When you clean
unpacking
your
their
book
bag. Right? They pull it out and go, oh yeah, that was a great goal. Oh yeah. And then they recycle it. All right? So I challenge you to keep this goal at the forefront of your mind for the next couple weeks. And then before you leave here, double check. See if you've done it. By all means, make adjustments. Even if you're not quite to the 25th and you think, gosh, you know what, this isn't realistic, you can adjust it. The idea is that it gives us a destination. It gives us a specific target place that we're working towards. All right?
Really quick, if I can add to making the goal attainable, going back to the time management, when you're designating how much time you think things are going to take within that hour, 2-hour block, make sure it really is attainable, because a lot of times people will totally overestimate what they can do within that hour, and then you'll notice that you're behind on every single block. And then by the time you try to get through everything, you know, it is 4 a.m. and you're totally discouraged, you're like, this doesn't work. And so when you're doing that planning on Friday night or whenever you're planning for the next week, really realistically, I would say in the beginning, underestimate what you can do, and then you'll notice, okay, maybe I can handle more than 5 pages of reading. And then just increase from there. But definitely you have to make it realistic.
Awesome. Questions about SMART goals? Okay, we're going to talk about metacognitive skills. Who can tell me what metacognition is? Yes.
Thinking about thinking?
Thinking about thinking. Isn't that fabulous?
Yes.
How often do students get so driven, so task-oriented, that they fail to pause and think about the material? This is what you brought up earlier. You know, that time to sit and think is really important. Have any of you ever had an experience where you're working really hard at something and you just can't get it, so you push it away and you go do something fun? And then what happens?
You get caught up in doing something fun,
And then what happens?
you don't come back.
Do any of you come back
Yeah.
with the answer? Right? You give your brain a chance. Just wait, just keep going. Once the answer comes, come on back. All right? It's really important to give our brain a time to not focus on the task, let it go on the back burner, and a lot of times it will come. You will find when you return to it that, hey, I'm a little more focused now, and you can pull out those answers that you're looking for. So we're going to talk about some of the metacognitive skills, and this is going to transition us into the academic supports that we provide in the Office for Undergraduate Education. The majority of our academic supports are driven by metacognitive skills. So when you are working with an EPASS peer mentor or an EPASS peer tutor, you can expect them to introduce to you metacognitive skills that you can then incorporate into your own studies. All right? So goal setting. We just did goal setting because we want you to have a specific destination, whether it's just for that day, whether it's just, okay, I'm sitting down to study Dr. McGill's general chemistry final. It might be a task list. All right, but we need to have a destination. So goals can be on a micro level, they can be on a macro level, semester long. But goal setting is really important. Learning style. How many of you know the way that you learn best? Tell me how you learn best.
I'm a visual learner, so I have to draw things out.
You have to draw things out. So when you're sitting listening to lectures, you just doodle?
I take notes.
You take notes? Okay, handwritten, not computer?
Most of the time it's handwritten.
Excellent. Do you go back and look at those notes?
Yes.
Here is a fun fact that most people don't know. If you can review your notes 3 times within 24 hours of taking them, you will retain 80% of that. That is huge. 80% of the material just by reviewing your notes 3 times within 24 hours of taking it. You will find here at Emory that before your first exam, and of course your first exam in every class will happen within the same 5-day period, all right? You could have hundreds of pages of PowerPoints and notes for every class. That's too much to sit down and try to digest in a week. But if you're doing it every single day, you're gonna have more time on your hands. 3 times within 24 hours, 80% more. That's incredible. All right? Here's what we know. Coming out of high school, we have the luxury, right? They give us the material that we're gonna learn. They tell us what we're gonna learn. We'll watch a movie on it. There will be a field trip, right? We do all sorts of different ways that we work with the material. How is most of our material presented in college? Like this. So the responsibility falls to you, all right? The responsibility falls to you to reflect on how you learn best. All right, she knows she's a visual learner. This is huge already. Keep in mind that some of you might be a blend, all right? I'm an auditory learner, so I listen to lecture. I don't really take notes. I was at a conference one year actually, and I presented, and somebody's feedback to me as a presenter was, hey, I saw you in someone else's session, you were just doodling. I thought that was disrespectful. And I was like, that's okay. You know, I was listening, I was paying so much attention to that presenter. I was able to, afterwards, take what I had heard, compare it to the notes, and it made sense to me. All right, so figure out the way that you learn best. How do we figure this out? How can we find out the way that we learn best?
Trial and error.
Pardon?
Trial and error.
Trial and error. Okay, what else?
But like with trial and error, don't you have to mess up to realize that it doesn't work?
Do you always have to mess up to realize it doesn't work? Could some trial be really successful?
Yes.
Right? Wow, I remembered absolutely everything Dr. Weinchang said, and I didn't pay any attention to the slides.
Oregon.
Right?
Also, you've been in school long enough where I feel like you kind of should already have an idea, you know, just think that, sit and stare out the window for a bit, and think about, you know, how do I typically study for a test? Do I rewrite all my notes? Do I listen to lectures over again? You know, I think you'll be able to figure out a pattern of some sort.
Remember, guys, that we took that MAP assessment? That tells you or gives you some really good indications of your motivations toward how you learn. If you go to the bottom of it, it tells you about your learning style. So I would go back and take a look at that again if you haven't already.
Excellent.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's
See, we're giving you the tools. You already have them, all right? But that's why this component of self-reflection, of knowing who you are and how you exist best in the world, will really help you become a better student and the very best learner that you can be. A lot of these metacognitive skills are about being as efficient as possible, all right? The old adage of, I'll just study more, isn't going to fly. Because we come to college, we have greater responsibility, we have greater freedom. We don't have greater hours in the day, unfortunately. It would be great if they tack another 6 on. All right, welcome to college, you have 30 hours a day. Use them wisely.
Yes.
We don't have that, all right? So now this next part, the trial and error. Evaluate yourself. So when we say evaluate, what are we talking about? We've sat down, we've set a goal for studying. How are we going to evaluate the effectiveness of our study time?
The social one has something.
How do we evaluate?
That's an interesting identifier. Like, essentially reflect on past experience and see what has been effective.
Okay, that
And your-
again
and your
goes back to
section
know
of time.
yourself and learning style. But how would we evaluate how we're doing?
How much do we know?
Brilliant, absolutely. How much do we know? I sat down to study, I don't know, what's a concept in physics we could be studying?
Electricity.
Light. I sat down to study light. I've studied light for an hour. I will now test myself to see how many of you incorporate specific testing points in your studying? I should see every hand in the air. Because what is the exam? It's an evaluation, it's a test. We need to incorporate more and more testing into our specific study period. So that do any of you get test anxiety? Oh goodness. All right. And what do we do? We have test anxiety, so the instinct is to push away from it, right? Ooh, I don't like tests. What's the solution to test anxiety? Jump in, both feet. Test yourself as much as possible, all right? This is great even if you don't have test anxiety. Work every week into your study schedule an evaluation time, an evaluation day. Okay, this is what we've been studying light. How much do I really know about light? All right? Adjust. This is where the trial and error piece comes in. Okay, wow, I really thought I was an auditory learner. I've been listening to all these lectures. I don't know anything more about light. I need to adjust what I'm doing. This is a piece where we lose students a lot. This failure to make some changes to their studying. So what are some ways that we typically study? Someone give me an example of how you typically study. Yes? In a group. Okay, if that's not working for you, what's a simple way we can adjust that? Separate yourself out. What's another way you can do it? Find another group. Okay, what else?
Read and rewrite.
Read and rewrite. Smaller groups.
You can use mnemonic devices.
You can use mnemonic devices. All right? So there's lots of ways, but it's really important. Will we know what to adjust if we're not evaluating? No, that's why this evaluation piece is really important.
Quick tip. Your number one study guide for test 2 and beyond will be test 1 or test 2 for test 3. Even if the final exam isn't comprehensive, you should look at how you did on test 1 or test 2 or whatever, figure out what kinds of questions you got wrong, figure out why you got them wrong. Were they quick, you were rushing and you made simple rushing mistakes, or are they big conceptual mistakes? If it's conceptual, it means you didn't spend enough time studying. If it's quick, little errors, you forgot the negative sign or something, that means for next test, adjust and slow down and really check over everything. So that's a great tip.
Fabulous. And the last metacognitive skill we're going to touch on today is the belief component. Here on our campus, chemistry 141, 142, biology 141, 142, physics 141, 142, organic chemistry 221 and 222. These are the courses on our campus that have the highest DWF rates. Who knows what DWF rates are? Exactly, D, you've earned a D, that's your letter grade, which calculates to 1 point on a 4-point GPA scale. Does not help you in any way. W is you've waited at least 5 weeks in the semester to withdraw. And fail, the F is you failed to successfully complete the course.
The W will show up on your transcript.
W show up on your transcript. On our campus, we really encourage anybody who earned a C or below to really consider if continuing on in that course sequence is in their best interest. All right? So, why do I bring this up? Because how many of you are thinking about chemistry 141, biology 141, physics 141, right? And because you are STEM students, do you think you get to take them one at a time? No, right? You have to pair up at least 2 of them. Lots of times we throw a calculus in there to make things interesting. And of course, a writing component course. So you'll be real busy. All right? These are things to consider. On our campus, there was a research study done, and self-efficacy, that internal belief that absolutely, yes, you can do it, is the single best indicator for successful completion of these courses with a C or better. So start now. Start talking yourself up. Draw on these past experiences where whatever you did, you knocked it out of the park, because you're going to need that. All right? You are absolutely going to need it. Can you do it? Absolutely. But it is going to take dedication. It is going to take hard work. It is going to take you knowing yourself really, really well. And it's also going to take a lot of the academic support resources we have on campus.
And good time management.
And excellent time management. Or a lot of Monster energy drink.
Coffee.
Okay, can you read this pretty little thing I made? Can you see it? Or the words are too small? They are a little small. So let me describe it to you. We've got lots of little buttons on it with names of academic support resources, and the arrows go in every which direction. So we have academic advisors. Are these folks coming in to talk to this group? Academic advisors?
Yes.
Excellent. So you can meet with an academic advisor as many times as you need to throughout the semester and throughout your time here. This is separate from your faculty advisor. Have you folks been assigned your faculty advisors yet? Not yet. Okay. You will get those. They are your friends. You want to spend as much time with them as possible if you can track them down. We have English as a second language support. How many of you have English as a second language? 1, 2, perfect. So we have supports in place for you. I guarantee all of you will have a friend in the first semester who English is their second language. And they will need guidance and direction. All right, you can let them know we have a whole host of academic support resources for them located on the Claremont campus, but I'll tell you at the end of our presentation how you can schedule. Tammy, what's the next one? What's the next little button there?
Similarly, or related to ESL, I run an academic fellows program, and basically it's a peer mentorship program where sophomores, juniors, and seniors decide they want to mentor an incoming freshman international student. And these are domestic or international students. So most of the international students that are mentors were mentees when they were freshmen. They're like, all right, I want to now mentor someone coming in. And so definitely, if you're interested in working with international students, contact me and figure out how to become a mentor.
The next component we have are the EPASS mentors. And we actually have one in the back row right now. Give us a wave. She's one of our biology, she's one of our biology mentors. And so what they offer is weekly interactive study sessions that are facilitated by a student who has taken the course with the same faculty member in which you're enrolled, which is really significant. And sometimes there's problem sets, sometimes it's test preparation. There's lots of different activities, and again, this is all driven with a metacognitive skill development. The idea and the philosophy behind the mentors program is that the learning happens in the conversation. So, if you would intend to show up at mentors and not say a word, it's going to be a very painful process for you. All right, but you want to come because our leaders are excellent and they'll take really good care of you. Statistically speaking, students who attend at least 3 mentor sessions earn at least a third of a letter grade higher than students who do not attend or who attend less than 3. Is a third of a letter grade significant?
Yes.
Yeah, what does that equate to? Well, it could be passing or failing, but it's also the plus or the minus. All right, so it can take your B to a B plus, which in terms of a GPA, a 3.0 to a 3.33. All right. Pre-health mentoring office is available. I know they're coming in on the 22nd, so I will not steal their thunder, but they're fabulous. You want to spend as much time with these folks as you can. Meet with your faculty. Did you know that at Emory, you can see a dean any day? We have a dean on call every single day, and each week, all the deans hold open office hours. So that means you can show up and see a dean. This is huge. A lot of institutions, they'll keep a dean, 4 deep behind professional employees. You can, as a student, walk in and see a dean at any point in time. These are great folks to come and spend some time with. A big component of your time here at Emory is the community that you develop. All right, get to know these people. A lot of these deans have done incredible research. You want to befriend them. How many of you are thinking long term, like, maybe I want to go to graduate school, I want to go to medical school? Has any of that popped into your heads? Excellent. What do you need to get into these schools? You need good grades. You need letters of recommendation.
Research projects.
You need all sorts of things. All right? So give these folks an opportunity to meet you now and grow with you throughout your time here, so that when you're getting ready to graduate, they can't help but say, I would love to speak on your behalf. All right, so start facilitating fostering these relationships now. We have writing requirements on campus. The Writing Center is available to help you with all of your papers. Are they coming in?
They are not coming in this time, sorry guys.
Okay.
But we do have a 4-part scientific writing workshop that they do.
We'll see. They've got you covered. EPASS. EPASS peer tutoring. A little bit different from our EPASS mentors. The philosophy behind our peer tutors is it is the development of the independent learner. Again, if you're coming to EPASS, peer tutoring, to get some answers, you're going to be sorely disappointed. because they're going to work you to the bone. All right? The idea here is that they will work with you to help you find the answers. All right? It's not an answer shop, but they will work with you. The philosophy behind our training is if our tutors do their jobs very well, we put ourselves out of work. But luckily, there's always a new batch of students coming in. Every student is eligible for 2 hours of tutoring per week. All right? Obviously, we take into account student needs and things like that. So if you find yourself really struggling and you need additional work, come and see me. We can always build in more time for you. But I encourage you, go early, go often. If you are in any of the courses we mentioned, general chemistry, general biology, organic chemistry, or physics, do not wait until exam week to schedule an appointment. You won't get one. All right, you can schedule 3 weeks in advance. When do you think your first exam will be in any of those classes?
The second week, first class or something.
It will probably be about your 3rd weekend. So,
Oh,
your first day of classes, look at your syllabi, see when your exams are, and schedule those tutoring appointments. All right? Tutoring is not just for students who are coming in and saying, gosh, I don't know the material. It's if you want to understand the material better. And if you want to take your understanding of that material to the next level and plan for the sequence that is coming. All right? Please schedule early. That's the best advice I can give you. All right? And come every week. You might as well. Learning specialist?
Yes, as I already mentioned, I work with students one-on-one or in groups like this to work on things like time management. You guys had mentioned testing anxiety. I work with students on that, and I kind of help you overcome it, and any other study skill, whatever you guys want.
All right. So these are the primary academic support resources that are housed in the Office for Undergraduate Education. Who can tell me where the primary office is for the physical office that you would go to for the Office for Undergraduate Education? Where is it?
Isn't that the one behind the financial aid office?
No,
The
it
one
wasn't
with the
break desk.
R?
That's the registrar. Those are the folks who are in charge of your transcript, your Opus access, and when that day comes, ensuring your name is spelled correctly on your degree.
Okay,
Office for Undergraduate Education, where's our
3rd floor of Whitehall.
Whitehall, Suite 300. You folks know what Whitehall looks like?
Yeah.
Cement. It's not one of the prettiest buildings on campus, but there's lots of great help there. If you ever find yourself in a bind, 300 Whitehall. That's all you need to know.
Suite forms.
Any of the academic forms you'll need. If you need to see which advisor is available immediately, you can head up to Suite 300 in Whitehall. Please come by. We would love to see you. All right, what's next? Okay, click again. Okay, so we've talked about all the support resources available, and now I want you to start thinking and start planning ahead. This is the really fun part. This is where you get to dig in and decide how you are going to make your academic career your own. So the first thing is the SIRE program. Who here knows what the SIRE program is? Oh, tell us about it. Can you tell us what it is?
It's research that I think freshmen, sophomores, and juniors can be part of, but I think others are. Is that correct?
Yeah, but yeah.
This is fabulous. Undergraduate research. Undergraduate research is an incredible program, and I think Dr. Schreckengoss is coming in to speak with you folks about it.
Actually, they all apply, well, several of them have applied already.
All right, congratulations, that's excellent. So that's an opportunity for you folks. And I believe it's for credit as well. You can earn credit, and you get some really valuable undergraduate research experience. EPASS peer tutors, we hire students who have a minimum 3.5 GPA, who have earned a B+ or better in the course, and have taken the course with the faculty member that is currently teaching it on our campus when available. All right, so if you have an excellent experience in Physics 141, 151, and you decide, oh, I want to be a tutor, go ahead and apply. And you would get to work with me, and we have lots of fun. And lots of snacks. We eat a lot in my office. The EPASS peer mentors. You want to give us a little description?
Sure, okay.
No, out there, but you're always ready.
Okay, so pretty much, the EPASS peer mentors sit in the class, so we hear everything you all hear. And it's very teacher specific, so it's easier to talk to students when they come to like your EPASS session about specific questions. You know, you also get to give the students a feel for like what the teacher's exams are usually like, since you've already taken that class and taken that teacher.
Right, and so which faculty member are you working with in the fall?
Dr. Spell.
Dr. Spell. Why are you working with Dr. Spell?
Pretty much. Yeah, so Dr. Spell's my advisor, and I took her to Bio 141, 142.
Okay, so she's already really working on this relationship with this faculty member, so much so that the faculty member handpicked her for this role. All right, so this is incredible. This is a great opportunity. We have pre-health mentor available, but I will again allow Dean Oberens to speak to those next week. Not national scholarships and fellowships. We have a lot of students throughout their time here at Emory that decide, you know what, I would like to apply for a Fulbright teaching scholarship. All right, we have an office designed just to support students through any of these application processes, the interview. They will work with you throughout the entire year in some instances for these really competitive awards. So there's lots of support there. We have Woodruff scholarships that students can apply for after their freshman year. You can be an orientation leader. You folks are going to see the madness that is orientation in about a month. All right, and some students just love it. They come in and they're like, woo! So if that's you, if you're one of those woo students, orientation leaders, that might also be something that you're interested in. And we have all sorts of teacher's assistants. The only way you can become a TA in any course is by working with that faculty member. So get to know your faculty members early. Go see them, spend time with them. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of going to office hours. I had a student one year and he said, Julie, I can't go to office hours until I can ask that faculty member the question that just blows their mind. I said, you're a freshman. This is a world-renowned faculty member. You think you're gonna blow the faculty member's mind? And he paused and he goes, well, maybe not. I said, I bet they would be just impressed if you showed up. That very same student is now doing research with that faculty member that he was really intimidated to go see. Your faculty members want to see you, all right? They want to be a part of your education. Give them that opportunity and all sorts of doors will open for you, all right? Okay, write down this website. It is EPASS, EPASS. .emory.edu. From there, we have a tool called, we call it ASSIST for short. It is the academic support scheduling tool. You can log into this system using your Emory credentials. You can schedule tutoring appointments. You will be able to see the mentor schedule for the fall. You will be able to schedule appointments with academic advisors. You will be able to schedule appointments with deans. You will be able to see all sorts of wonderful events that are happening on campus. All right? Yes?
Do we have an Oxford equivalent to EPASS? Or is there like EPASS on Oxford?
I don't think you do. Well, I'm sure you do. You don't have an EPASS equivalent, but I'm sure you have tutoring.
Okay.
Okay?
I can speak to that later.
Okay, excellent. All right? So this, we just gave you a snapshot, just a little glimpse into everything that we can provide for you, but also the opportunities that await you with your hard work. So now, we were promised that you folks would have a lot of really cool questions for us.
No pressure, guys.
So,
Get it done.
so Tammy is ready to answer all of them.
You only have 5 minutes, so make it quick.
So what questions do you have for us? If there's no questions, then it'd be perfect.
I like that.
I can go home.
I like that. Go Poland.
Yes.
So being like an EPASS tutor, can you do it after your first semester of your freshman year? Or do you
So,
have to wait to complete the second part of that course?
well, so you could be, depending on the course, right? Some courses are only offered sequentially. But for instance, let's say calculus, math 111. is offered every semester. So after your fall semester, if you had a 3.5 GPA and you had successfully completed calculus, math 111, and you wanted to tutor for that in the spring, you could absolutely apply for that. However, if we're talking chemistry 141, chemistry 141 is not offered again until the summer. So you could apply to be a chemistry 141 tutor, but you wouldn't be able to work until the summer. Great question. Yes?
Sometimes when I'm doing like, let's say math, and then there's just one specific thing. It's not like the entire lesson, it's just like one version of it where you're like, what? So can I literally abuse you guys, come in, ask one question, and then walk away?
Well, so you can, technically, but we train our tutors to kind of not let you. We will challenge you, right? Because now that you've showed up for the appointment, you've taken that appointment time away from someone else, and I have to pay that tutor. So we want that tutor to work.
It's just because you
Right.
say that we only have 2 hours.
You have 2
A
hours
week.
per week. That is correct. So you want to use your 2 hours wisely.
Yeah.
But if you sign up for 1 hour, whether you take 5 minutes or an hour, it counts as an hour towards your 2 hours a week. So you're coming in with this really one issue that you're really struggling with. We're going to challenge you to work backwards and see, okay, why are you struggling with this particular topic? A lot of times what we see is that it's not really this topic. It's some component of what came before that is preventing you from addressing this topic. So the tutor will work with you to go back. They'll try to spend time with you to plan ahead and see what's coming. But
Or
technically,
in office hours.
yeah, but technically, can you come in and ask one question? Absolutely. But you might be frustrated as the tutor tries to keep you there a little bit longer.
Okay, then I'll bundle them up.
There you go. Yes?
To clarify, you don't have to be pursuing a major in in math to teach a math course as an EPASS under, correct?
No.
Okay, there were 3 different things in there. So, are you EPASS tutor?
So you, like, for instance, if you wanted to teach a math course.
Teach?
Or
A faculty member?
tutor.
Tutor, okay. Now I'm
To
on
tutor a
you.
math course, you don't have to actually be pursuing a degree in math to do so, correct?
Oh,
You just have to
goodness,
do
no.
well in the course. Okay.
Successful completion of the course. That's what we're looking at. Great question. I think you were next.
If you get an A- on your GPA, would that count as a 3.7 or?
A minus is 3.7.
That's right. Plus and minus is a difference of 0.33, so technically it would be 0.67. But yes.
So when you schedule with a tutor, is it only a 1 hour block or is it like what's the time restraint?
They are all 1 hour appointments.
These are our names, just in case you didn't get it at the beginning. In your Emory Global address book or whatever, if you just type in our last names, you will find us. I emphasize the J here because there is a Tammykin Med School, and she gets a lot of my emails, and I get a lot of hers. We just send them to each other. So, J. Find the J.
And Tammy mentioned her office is on the Claremont campus on the 3rd floor, so you folks are staying on Claremont, you should just go up and visit Tammy. At some point during your next 2 weeks here, just go visit Tammy. My office is in the Math and Science building. I'm in the Math and Science Library, E301. So if you're hungry, come on by, I've got snacks. Or if you want to talk about something academic, we could do that also.
Math and science.
301, yeah. All right. Are you folks good?
Thank you.
Cool.